I'm going to give you first right of refusal to talk about that.
No, it's just the puns they're tremendous.
If I told that many puns in one day, I'd be kicked out of my house.
Yeah, and even for dads, that was a lot. Today was mild, really foggy. The fog tonight's going to be very dense, and that's something we don't. We get used to it in Maine, but I think even by our standards, it's thick. It's under a quarter mile in some spots.
And it was this morning too, and I bet for an evening commute with low light, that's going to be tricky.
Yeah, it's not ideal. So that's something to think about. We got a lot to think about here. But the one side of it that I think most people notice is, man, it was spring-like today, right? Look at Freiburg, Sanford, 56, 57, 58 in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Most of us hung right around 50 degrees flat or upper 40s. Couple showers out there. The rain is actually going to come back to the mid-coast and down East Maine over the next couple of hours. You can start seeing it in the Gulf of Maine here. That rain will fill back in, and then here's the fun part. It changes over to snow because the cold air is starting to come in from the northwest. So that cold air meets up with that precipitation and starts changing over from west to east to snow. This happens while most of us are sleeping, and by tomorrow morning, there's snow into down East Maine, snow into northern Maine as well. The question is the intensity. I'll tell you that some computer models are putting down a pretty good amount of snow on the back end of this storm. My take has always been that it's very difficult to get big accumulating snow on the back end of a storm and a northwest wind behind the storm system, unless you're talking about mountains, which we're not here. So I'll show you the map in a second, but I just want you to know there are models putting out 6-7 inches of snow here, so that's what we're up against here. And then this all moves out, and most of us, the story tomorrow is things refreezing. We're down to the 20s and teens, and it's windy, so it's back to a much more wintry vibe when compared to today. So I told you what the models had, and this is what we have right now. This is a pretty big delta, and again, that just has to do with kind of how we're interpreting the likelihood of that rate of snowfall and the duration and all of that and ratios and all of that. So we've got a trace to 2 inches in the mountains, into the mid-coast, 2 to 4 across northern Maine. Best chance of over 4 is going to be out towards about Presque Isle or so. And it is worth noting, even Portland, it wouldn't shock me if a snow shower went through tonight. So just don't be surprised by that. And I hope not to be surprised by 7 inches of snow in the morning. So this high builds in over the weekend. Relatively quiet. Not stellar. There's a lot of clouds around on Saturday. Temperatures are on the chilly side, just about freezing or so, straight through Saturday. And then Sunday we warm up. And then we have another shot, likelihood really, to get back to 50 on Wednesday or so, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. 50 is good. It's better not to know what is just south of us next week because it's going to be much warmer than that. But sometimes, what did it say, compare and despair?
That's a good way of putting it, yes.
Say. Yeah. So don't worry about that.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah, there are different ways to put this. So think about that. It is going to be mild. I think overall here, we don't have any significant Arctic shots of air from now till probably mid-March, which puts us in a spot where it gets harder to do that. We do it sometimes, but we're more likely to get sucker punched by snowstorms in late winter, early spring than we are Arctic outbreaks. Typically.
That's a good trade-off.
So yeah, so we might get more snow, certainly probably will. I don't see any big cold for at least a couple of weeks.
All right, sounds good, Keith.